before we're going live.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Speaking of going live, we have gone live. So yes. Yeah, while I remember where the camera is. Hello, everyone. We're just sitting down. Yep, the coffee's made. Oh, can you guys hear me? I don't think they can hear me. Oh yes, no, the microphone is on. There's a lot of clutter on my audio mixer. Let's see. Yeah, no, I need all of those. I just need to change the order of things on OBS. I'll just move that up a little bit. That'll solve it for now. There we go. All right. Hello.
Good evening.
Yes.
Good day.
When can you say good evening to someone? It's coming up to 4 o'clock. It's a bit early for that, but yes.
Well, good afternoon. Say some point after 5.
Yeah. Good afternoon, in any case. This doesn't need to be here. I'm gonna. Oh, that's right next to the mic. That'll do it. That was not very tactical positioning of the mic. We'll have to remember to move that. Anyway, hello everyone. Hello. Still no high chair for Caradog. No, it's illegal. Water cooling fittings turned up right in time for the stream. Nice.
We are now cool.
Right, yes, hello everyone. We just as we were hitting go live, we were just like, we need to figure out an angle, because the problem we've got with having the camera over there is we've got a nice angle onto the bench, but the chat is there. So we're sort of looking there to see the chat, but you guys are talking there, but you're over there. So we were just saying, we need to figure out a setup where the camera is more over there instead.
Or have two cameras, split it in half and have one going that way, one going that way, and then it could be interview style and we can go, yes.
I don't know. What do you think about that, Caradog? Change camera, you know.
So, suddenly it turns into every documentary ever.
Yeah. Changes camera. Changes camera. Anyway, you know. Anyways, right. Before we get into anything else, I'm going to go straight into the title topic because I kind of clickbaited the title, and I clickbaited the title because the idea is I wanted to get the people who normally don't tune into the podcast to watch the first 5 or 10 minutes of this podcast, just so they're up to date on things. So, firstly, here is the too long didn't watch. So people who are like, I don't want to sit down and watch this can go away as soon as they want to. Basically, I'm going to make a second YouTube channel. So it'll be like Adamant IT2 or whatever. When it is made, there will be a link in the description. I'll also put out another video about it, and it will be in the description of all the other videos, and it will be linked everywhere.
And it will be fabulous.
It will. So there'll be a second channel. And like the way that most YouTubers do it with their second channel, it will be a place to put just other content, long form stuff, unfinished stuff, just junker stuff, that kind of thing. And we're going to move the podcast to that second channel. So the podcast won't be on this channel next week. It will be on the other channel. And as I say, we will put links for it everywhere. And so the idea of this is that the podcast won't be stealing focus from the mainline videos. So now I've got that bit out the way, we'll actually talk about the problem and why we're doing this and how I'm hoping that will improve things. So long story short, if you don't like seeing the podcast, we're going to move them to another channel. So you should only be seeing the mainline videos on this channel.
As long as you interact with those videos.
Yes. It's really important to comment and or like the mainline videos so you tell YouTube that that's what you want to see. Because if you're not seeing the mainline videos, that means that either, most likely that means you're not using the subscriptions page. In which case you are subject to the algorithm. There's two ways you can solve this. Either use the subscriptions page or interact and engage with the mainline videos so you tell YouTube that you want to see more of them. It's why I've been saying at the end of all of my videos, please hit the like button if you enjoyed this to tell YouTube that you want to see more content like it.
Absolutely.
So with all of that in mind, now we'll actually talk about the problem in more detail. But yeah, that's the main bit that I wanted to get out of the way.
Or you can tell me about the problem.
Yes, I'll tell you about the problem as well. Yeah. So
I feel like at this point I should just be sat underneath the camera going, yes, tell me more.
Well, I mean, I've alluded to this to you many times over many months. Basically, the original reason why we started this podcast, it was two guys talk tech for YouTube stats, wasn't it?
The web show.
The web show, yeah.
Episode 1.
Yes.
The Phantom
Strikes Back. So yeah, the original reason why we started the podcast was because the YouTube algorithm favored live content. So we were like, we'll throw out live content to boost the channel in the algorithm. But the problem is it actually worked too well, and YouTube has only been pushing the live shows and not the mainline videos. And there's been a lot of, there is at least 1 or 2 comments a week from people going, oh, you only ever do podcasts now. You don't do repair videos anymore. And literally, when once or twice a week, absolute minimum, there's a comment from someone going, do a repair video. And I'm like, there was a repair video this week. And there was one last week as well. And the week before that. I never stopped doing repair videos. So that's the problem we've got, is the algorithm is only showing people the podcast. And now, I was kind of sort of thinking, I don't think, we can figure out other alternative ways around this, or I'll start making more videos to offset this. However, the other issue, so we now get round to the other point, is this week, as many of you guys may know, Jay's 2 Cents, they started up a podcast during the lockdown as well, called the RTFM Show. And this, yesterday or the day before, Jay put out an announcement saying that their podcast is damaging their mainline video stats, and so they're moving it to an alternative channel. And that basically, he's describing exactly the same problem that we've been having. And I'm now at the point where I'm like, okay, well, Jay has been in this game a lot longer than I have, and I'm sure he knows YouTube a lot better than I do. If he thinks he should move his podcast to another channel, and he's putting out about the same number of videos a week that I am, probably means I should do the same. So I'm fully willing to go, I suspected that this was a problem already, and if Jay is doing it, then I'm also going to be like, fine, I'm going to do it as well then.
Yes, absolutely. Because originally, way back when this started, the comment was that it was going to be 2 videos a week plus this.
Yeah.
And that was how we, or certainly how you went, kind of, well, that it will drive into the other videos.
Yeah.
Because there will be also more videos.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, due to circumstance, that hasn't happened.
That's right. Just I want to be doing 2 videos a week, but just the way it's gone down, it just hasn't been possible. And it's a twofold problem.
I feel like a prairie dog.
I feel like it's a twofold problem. Is part of that is just time and energy. Is I am very busy just in my day job and just doing everything else. So making videos is hard work, and it's a lot of effort for me to get 1 a week out. I have trouble hitting that deadline. And the other part of it as well is just content. There are certain times and certain periods where there's just nothing. There's always lots of work in the shop, but there's nothing worth filming in the shop. And a lot of people will be like, sort of, fine, just film what you've got. And it's like, yeah, no, what I've got, trust me, it's not good YouTube content. Because a lot of it is just, I mean, you'd end up with, there'd be another SSD replacement video 2 or 3 times a week. Because, I do hard drive to SSD upgrades, every day, every other day in here. So if I actually filmed everything I did, there would be too much repetition. Now, a little repetition is fine. People like seeing the same thing again and again. And sometimes that's good for learning, is to see the same process over and over, and you understand it a bit more every time you see it. However, there are certain jobs where it's just that's not good entertainment. If it's a board repair, a soldering repair that you're seeing again and again, that's fine because that's specialist content. But when it's just a really basic bitch repair, there's only so many times that swapping out an LCD panel in a basic laptop is interesting. And I've got 20 videos on the channel that is swapping an LCD panel. I've shown people how to swap an LCD panel, So yeah.
Yeah. I feel it would be one of those things where if you did film everything you did, you would need someone who was an editor going through and compressing them all into, here is 3 days of repairs in a 25-minute video.
Yeah, and that could be done as well.
A 9-minute video or something, whichever is the preferred YouTube video length of today.
And I mean, you've told me many times that I should have another editor, and it's certainly I'm not opposed to the idea of having another editor. However, I have to drastically improve my workflow to do that. Yes, because my workflow is currently, it is convoluted. It's not labor intensive. It's just convoluted, which makes it very difficult to hand over the job to someone else. And ideally, I need to move into a direction where it is less convoluted. So when someone actually says
a cleaning cloth,
no, I'm okay. There's just like one spot that I'm trying to get rid of. When someone actually turns around and goes, "Hey, I do video editing. Do you want me to do a video for you?" I can actually go, "Sure. Here's a link to the camera footage," kind of thing. Yeah. Whereas at the moment, I record in OBS in a 4K tiled format. Then the source footage needs to go through Handbrake to split it out into 2 to 4 1080p streams, and then I drop that into Vegas, and then I edit. It's very inefficient. So, yeah.
It also doesn't help that obviously with the format of some of the content is obviously there's no way of scripting it. So there's no way of knowing what.
Yeah, and that means it's very difficult to convey. Like I'm thinking about the direction and the editing while I'm shooting the video. So also that if I was doing that, I'd need to get into the habit of actually putting in editor's note during filming and just say, editor, cut this section, kind of thing. Just so when I hand the footage over to someone, the editor's notes are actually in the footage. Instead of me actually having to go, okay, this is what we're trying to achieve. This section went wrong, so cut all of that. And, this bit was needlessly complicated, simplify it, and so on,
Yeah.
And then also just like, there are just simply some videos where what I'm trying to do when filming is completely different to what I end up doing when I'm editing, because by the end of the film I'll be like, that didn't go to plan, however I can completely pivot this video in editing, so blah blah blah. So yes, that's that. That's the discussion on that. So, but the long and the short of it is that means that there hasn't been 2 videos a week, and that has meant that the plan to try and offset the damage of the podcast has not played out. So the next best solution is just simply to shunt it to another channel, because I feel like that solves both problems. Because for the people who enjoy the podcast and want to continue tuning into it, I feel like you guys will have absolutely zero issue just subscribing to the extra channel and watching the podcast there. Whereas for the people who don't want to see the podcast, it's a lot more inconveniencing to them than it is to the people who do want to see the podcast. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Although, again, just kind of a case of watching via, the channel's videos as opposed to by recommended.
Yeah, I mean,
helps avoid the issue as well.
This is what I was saying to you earlier on. In an ideal world, and I've done a video, it was a while back now, but I've put a video out there before. It's called "Don't Ring My Bell," I think. It's called "Don't Ring My Bell," where basically I said to people, don't ring the notifications bell, stop using the YouTube homepage and use the subscriptions page. Because if you go to your subscriptions page, you skip the algorithm completely. And suddenly you don't need to mess around with notifications, you don't need to mess around with the homepage, you don't need to mess around with the algorithm. If you click on subscriptions page, you see all of your subscriptions in chronological order.
Yeah.
And if there's too much on there, then unsubscribe from some channels. And if, and I said in that video, and I said, if that means unsubscribing from my channel, then do that. Because if you're not watching my videos anyway, then there's no point in you being subscribed to me.
Yeah.
And this isn't me being snotty going, I don't even want you here. This is me saying, I would much rather train people to properly manage their own content feeds than trying to play the game of the algorithm.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. It's a case. It's born out of obviously everyone following and liking and subscribing to and engaging, blah 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 blah, with 14,000 accounts on stuff, and yeah, just obviously then if you had a chronological time feed, it would be overwhelmed by that. Yeah. And it's, well, don't follow all those people.
That's right. Yeah, and that's the thing. Now and then I unfollow people on Twitter and I unsubscribe from people on YouTube because I'm just like, I've got nothing against you, but I'm not interested in your content. I'm not watching your content. Yeah. I'm just empty padding on your numbers, which is worthless to you.
Yeah.
I know people in my subscriptions who've got really high subscriber counts, but really low view counts, and that means they have a lot of dead subscribers, which is actually probably more damaging to their channel because it makes their channel look incredibly unsuccessful, whereas having a better ratio of subs to views is far more healthy. So that's just it. It's much better to train people to manage their own content feeds.
It's also, I guess, to a degree, the age of the channel. Because obviously a channel can pick up a load of subscribers and then 10 years later still be going in this situation. And everyone will have changed as people.
Yeah, that's how it... I know a couple of channels with this problem, and that's more or less how it happened. Like, one of them is a fandom channel where they blew up during the fandom and got a really high subscriber count, or relatively high subscriber count, and then the fandom petered out and people moved on, and now they're still producing content, but they've got incredibly low view counts because just their entire subscriber base has moved on elsewhere, but never unsubscribed. And the other one is one with, I'm subscribed to a channel called the Tuesday Night Machines, which it's a music Eurorack synthesizers, modular Eurorack.
As a concept, loosely.
Yeah. So in the synthesizer scene, there's a type of synthesizer called modular Eurorack, where you buy modules and you use patch leads to link them all up. And the Tuesday Night Machines specialize in synthesizers and Eurorack and stuff. And they got up a big following because they did like a 10-part series on how to build and on how to Eurorack, basically. They broke it down. They explained how it works, how to set one up, and how you use them and what all the modules do. And they clearly racked up a really high subscriber count from that series, because that's how I found them. But subsequently, their regular videos of just sort of random synthesizer jams and the odd review of some kit now and then doesn't really get many views. And so now they're stuck with a very hollow subscriber base where they built up a big following, but completely ran out of steam because they finished doing their series. Now it doesn't go anywhere. And and so that's why so that can sometimes happen, and I'm not sure how I would fix that problem for them, or how interested they are in fixing that problem. To a certain extent, it might be a case of, well, that's just not the content I make anymore, and fine, fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes. So yes, new channel, Adamant Tech Rant. Well, yeah, so now all that remains now is what to call the new channel. Part of me wants to just call it Adamant IT 2, which is the general meta on what you name your second channel. But the other part of me
still feel like it should be 2 Adamant, 2 IT or something like that.
That's it. Part of me wants to do a joke name, but the other part of me doesn't want to have to explain the joke. Like part of me, I think it was Postal that said Extradament or something like that. So yeah, Adamant IT 10. Oh, I see what you did there, Ewan Lewis. Yeah. There's lots of ideas. Adamant IoT, yeah, Adamant 2. I wouldn't call it Adamant IT Live because I will probably, at some point, I will inevitably use it for more than just the podcast. I've always considered having a second channel for dumping stuff on anyway. At the moment, when I have a video that I want to dump, it goes on the channel unlisted. However, that's I've often contemplated making a second channel for that anyway. So yeah, I want to do it something fairly generic. So it might be Adamant IT 2. I kind of liked the idea of just Adamant IT Workshop, because it's supposed to be like rougher stuff and just, workshop videos, or the podcast just stuff from the shop kind of thing. But also Adamant IT Workshop is also quite long. I feel like that's a bit clunky.
Yes, I feel so. I don't know. I'm just kind of like
Adamant IT.
What's the limit on names? Can you get away with just naming it like 2A? Is that legal inside their rules to just go for some really silly short one?
No.
Just it being like TGTT.
Yeah, you could do it super short, but also like it needs to be something you can say as well. Like it needs like some of the problems.
It can be spelled TGTT, and you can pronounce it Tim.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
I name it, therefore I just say how it's said. If we
called it Adamant IT 2, as in TOO, you'd then have to say, but it's spelled TOO, not TWO, and people would be like, "Why did you spell it wrong?" And you're like, "Because it's a play on word." Don't do that, people. It seems really, really funny at the time, but it's a terrible idea. So yeah, Aluminium IT. So yeah, Adam Hythe. So yeah, I think I'm going to end up calling it just Adamant IT 2. I suppose I could call it Adamant TV.
The problem with that though is that sounds Adamant IT 2 sounds like Adamant IT T2 if you run it together.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think Adamant TV, if it's available, might work well. Because a lot of people use, like, for example, Mighty Car Mods, their second channel is MCM TV. So, that might be an idea. Will the episodes up till now be re-uploaded? That's a good question. I'd have to think about it. It would be sensible to do that. I might copy them up there. Yeah, I won't remove them from the channel because I'd lose the view counts and stuff. However, I would probably copy them up there. Yeah, that would be a good idea. Adamant Tech Talk. Yeah. I'll have to think about it, but
I still think the simplest is just Adamant IT 2.
Yeah. I think that might be the best way forward because Rusky just said you're thinking too much. And just, Adamant IT 2. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Yeah.
Basically. Just IT 2. IT 2? Oh no.
Is Caradog just a prop for your podcast?
Are you saying that I have a stick up my ass?
He has quite a lot to contribute at times. I just talk too much because that's what I do. So yeah. 2 guys, 1 meme cup for the win. Well done, Chris Kingan. Thanks for the $10.
That is not a thing.
That is absolutely not what the channel will be called. But yeah, lots of love for the meme mug today. Lots of people.
As I said,
we are going to have to sell it, aren't we?
You still need to sell it.
Like you guys.
You too can own something like this for only £25.
Sips coffee. Yeah. Oh, no, not that much.
Special offer for anyone who buys it through a link on the live video, $24.99.
Make it now so we can sub. Maybe I need to check how it works because when you have a big YouTube channel, you have a brand account, which means the channel exists outside of an ownership account and multiple accounts have managerial permissions to access the channel. And it's very important to do this because it protects the channel from, like, if my Google account got deleted tomorrow, the Adamant IT account, the Adamant IT channel would not be deleted because it's a brand channel and there are multiple accounts with managerial permissions to it, which is why you do this. It protects your channel from getting nuked, basically. Well, under certain circumstances.
Unless you do it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. For example, I would not be able. I'm fairly certain that I cannot delete my channel without having it authorized by a second manager account, like potentially your
sense.
one. So it protects it from, like, if my account got hacked, someone couldn't just delete the channel, because it would need to be confirmed by another manager and stuff like that.
I bloody hope so, because if that's not how it's set up, that's pretty terrible.
That's right. So as such, I need to make sure the second channel is also set up as a brand channel, and I can't remember where I need to make that from. I need to look through it and make sure I make it in the right place, because otherwise I'm going to make a channel, then immediately have to jump through all the hoops to convert it into a brand channel again. And I don't even know if I can actually do that. You might have to have a certain number of subscriptions before you can convert it to a brand account. And yeah, yada, yada, yada. So yes, I'm not going to make it right now, but I will make it during the week. And as I say, there will be links and announcements everywhere for it. So yeah, that will be it. Massive Goatee Talks Tech. Why is Caradog sat so low down? Because he's on a short chair and I'm on a tall stool. So yeah. So I think that pretty much wraps that up, basically. So yes.
Adamant and the Temple of Doom.
Got conned into his delete. Oh yeah, oh god.
Yeah, Jim Browning.
I don't know how. Like,
is there any possibility whatsoever that it was all a big thing?
I don't know. Like, so for those of you who don't know, Jim Browning runs. Does anyone know that? What's the name of his channel again? He runs one of those channels.
Just Jim Browning.
Yeah, well, he's one of those channels where he cons scam callers. He takes scam callers for a ride, and he baits them and honeypots them and messes with them and all the rest of it. And he managed to get duped by a scam caller into deleting his YouTube channel. And part of me is just like, I want to say that the person who actually did the con job, the person who pulled it off, must have just been a heckin' genius. But the other part of me is just like, how the hell did he fall for that? I don't care how convincing they were.
Why would deleting something... Yeah, I don't understand how deleting your YouTube channel would be a solution to anything.
I suspect that this was to do with brand channels, because when I converted Adamant IT to a brand channel, that was a really scary process, because when you actually transfer it, you transfer the channel off of the account that it's in, and then you look back at that account that used to have 100,000 subscribers and it says 0 subscribers, and you're like, ah! And then you then switch channels to the other channel that has exactly the same name, and then you see 100,000 subscribers again, and you're just like, good, there it all is, it's still there. But it's a really sketchy process, and I think that's how it kind of happened. I think they were trying to walk him through I think they were tricking him into converting it into another type of account, and he was probably not on a brand account. He was probably still on a personal account. And they had conned him into doing this and just managed to trick him into deleting it, saying, no, you just now click delete because you're deleting the old channel, but all of your stuff will be on the brand channel. But it actually wasn't, kind of thing. I think that's what happened. However, I still think he was colossally stupid to not because I'm assuming that they called him. And like, the first rule of scammers is that they call you. Like, what, did he think that YouTube just called him up one day to ask him how his account was doing? YouTube doesn't do that, man.
Yeah,
YouTube does not call you to ask you how your day is going.
Yeah.
So yeah. Walker's PC Games. Are you going to fix anything today? Possibly. Well, we don't know about fix. We've got a couple of things that we might do in a bit, like building up a computer or something like that. This is probably going to be mostly a talk show today. We're kind of alternating it at the moment. So yeah, it depends. We're kind of just gonna talk. Well, yeah, we're just chatting for a bit, and if we kind of run out of things to talk about, we'll be like, yeah, let's build that computer, shall we? which, I mean, I am running out of steam on things. I've done my channel rant, and now I'm having a quick rant about Jim Browning and how the hell he managed to get his channel deleted.
He did apparently do a video explaining it, which I have not seen.
Yeah, same.
All I saw was him posting on Twitter going, "I got scammed."
Yeah.
But I'm just like, good job. Bravo.
Part of me is just like, yeah, I
given that you were the channel that went after all of these scam things, wouldn't you operate at a state of paranoia? Seeing all the stuff that they did, but I don't know. I haven't seen the video. I can't particularly comment.
Agreed. We spoke about this last week. Is the dangers of talking about something without having researched it. We're kind of at that stage where we're making baseless speculation.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just it's just kind of a case of it's like.
Yeah, maybe it was more complicated. And as I say, I think it's more without having watched the video, I'm sure it's more complicated than a lot of people think. And it was to do with him being tricked into thinking he was making a brand account or something like that. But then on the other hand, my counter to that would be, why the hell weren't you already on a brand account? And, you know, like I think I converted around like the 50,000 mark or something like that.
I don't know.
You know, I got to the point where I'm just like, the channel has grown exponentially. This should not be on just a personal Gmail account anymore. Which was where it was, you know, but
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a very convincing scammer. I bet it was. So yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just still the fact of the thought process of why deleting or decommissioning would be a solution to a problem, kind of thing. I don't know.
Yes, as people are saying, we should watch the video. So yeah, I will probably do that at some point actually, because it's a hecking good story if nothing else, because people will continue to talk about this for a long time. They'll say, what about that guy on YouTube who scammed scammers and then got scammed? It would be nice to be able to turn around and go, actually, I watched the explanation video for that. It was actually a really good hustle, you know, because it sounds like that was the answer, is just legitimately it was just a really good hustle, and the best people can get caught out by a really good hustle. So yeah,
absolutely. But I think it's kind of a case that I don't know. I'm just hoping that it changes the tone slightly. I've not watched a lot of his stuff, but I just found his tone in some of his videos a bit conceited.
Possibly. I mean, in a way, that's why I don't like the subject matter anyway, because it's difficult to say this without just sounding like a complete twat. However, I can't help but feel that the people who make this kind of content are very smug about it, even though they're the good guys, because they're scamming scammers. And like, it's a case of that's a victimless crime, isn't it? You know, scamming scammers. You know,
I don't know. I feel like you start getting into a moral debate, which arguably isn't what this should be.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, also it's also content that's not for me, because I am not entertained by this kind of content. You know, it's, you know, case in point, you know, Dave Jones at EEV blog, he just posted on his second channel a recording of a scam call he got, and you know, a lot of people are just like, so, oh, listen to this scam call, and oh, he sure took them for a ride, kind of thing. And I'm just like, I'd have hung up in the first 10 seconds, because that's what I do when I get scam calls. I don't argue with them. I don't say, take me off your list. I don't say, oh, this is a legal call. I am GDPRing you right now. I just hang up because I've got better things to do, you know. So I think to a certain extent that might be why I am not, you know, why I am. The content is not for me. Basically, and I think you're in the same disposition where you're just like, this content is not aimed at me, or I am not interested in this content. So
and it's important to be aware of the distinction between content that is not aimed at you, content that doesn't interest you, and content that is just bad content.
Precisely. Just because it's not content I'm interested in doesn't mean it's invalid or bad content. I'm sure it's very good, and I'm sure the work he does is fantastic. I just don't care. So
it's, and I think it's important, as I said, from a personal point, to know what that difference is, because it applies to games and films and TV shows and YouTube channels and cars and everything in between.
Yeah.
A case of going, about knowing what is for you, but also a case of what you actually have an interest in.
Yeah, people are saying, oh, he's not smug at all, and oh, we've got him mixed up with Kitboga and stuff. Yeah, again, we need to change topics because I've never watched a single Jim Browning video.
I was going to say, I've never heard of that other person.
Yeah, so
I have watched those videos.
We're doing that thing again where we're speculating on a topic that we actually know nothing about, kind of thing. And while I'm more than happy to do so, but it's not a good idea to do that in front of an audience because we're sitting here talking to people about stuff we don't actually know anything about. So on that note, I'm going to change the topic. Walker's PC Game says, "Are we doing a video on Windows 11?" Well, I actually installed Windows 11 on the Corsair this week, so I have started looking at it, and I don't care. Basically, pretty much this. I've come to the same conclusion. I've used it incredibly lightly so far, but I'm just like, it's just a reskin, and I don't like the new start menu. I like the new settings app. That looks fantastic. And I like the new icons. I like the visual update. That looks really modern. I like it because Windows 10 is starting to look dated because Windows 10 is from the ultra flat design era, and a flat design is very much out of fashion now. And the Windows 11 theme looks great in my opinion. I love the way it looks. I don't like the layout of the start menu. I think it's confusing. I don't like that you cannot have all taskbar icons visible by default because I dislike hidden icons, but that's just a preference. But so far, I've installed it and I'm just like, this isn't changing my world.
No, absolutely.
And like, I think we're at the point where I think we've established now that that's not the point of Windows 11. The point of Windows 11 isn't to change people's worlds. The point of Windows 11 is to axe a whole chunk of legacy code from the code base.
Probably,
or I'll rephrase that to axe a whole load of legacy support. That's what it's for. But that might be true, and that may be valid, and I think it is valid. I think it's a good idea to axe legacy support now and then, because it's one of the things that keeps macOS running along so smoothly. Is that they routinely just say everyone who's got a computer older than X many years is not supported. End of story.
Yeah.
And as a result,
it's different, and I feel like that's a very important distinction to make. Is that when Apple says you cannot install this, they actively stop you from installing it.
True.
As far as try that again with real words. As far as has been seen with everything with Windows 11, other than the Microsoft account being a hard requirement for Windows 11 Home, they're not stopping you from installing it on other stuff.
Yeah.
You just have to do a clean install. You can't do an upgrade install. You can't do a migration via Windows Update.
Yeah. I think that's quite a slick move as well, because for enthusiasts and DIY users, that's a complete non-issue as far as I'm concerned. Because anyone out there that's just like, I don't like reinstalling Windows, you're doing it wrong. I understand that that's inconvenient at times, but if your computer is in a state where you cannot risk reinstalling Windows, your setup isn't very good. Certainly
for a machine that is just a desktop.
Yeah,
machine.
That's right. That is a bold but not untrue statement. Now, there are certain situations where that's not true. For example, absolute classic case in point, if you're doing sound engineering or if you're a musical creator and you're using digital audio workstations, your computer will be a house of cards of DAWs, plugins, licensing, and all the rest of it, which is very complicated to set up from scratch. But at that point, you're not a regular user anymore. You are now on a workstation, which is a different category. However, certainly gaming computers are not complicated to set up from scratch. You should be able to reinstall Windows.
The closest thing I could see from that being a point is people who stream on a platform and have a bot set up.
Yeah, streaming computers, that takes a bit longer.
And I'm like, imagine if you just backed up your configuration.
That's just it. Like in OBS, it's like... just for those of you who are, just for the purposes of conversation, hang on a sec, let me go studio mode just so I can make sure what I'm revealing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm revealing myself.
Yeah,
Whoops.
So if I go to desktop view here, bam, and if I move OBS over here, here is OBS that we're streaming from, so you're getting the infinite mirror effect. So OBS is handling the software. If I go to scene collection, this is all of my scenes, and the scenes are everything down here, so all of the sources and all of this setup. This is all the configuration. As you can see, I've got the different camera shots, and for each camera angle, I've got different sources for what position it's positioned where. If I go to scene selection, I can export, and I can back all of that configuration up. And I can do the same thing with my profile, and the profiles handle the settings and the encoder settings and all the rest of it. It's not hard to back this stuff up.
And then again, basically every bot I'm aware of
also
supports an export option to export everything.
That's right. So that's the thing. It's just streamer setups. Yes, they're a bit more complicated, but you can easily back up all of this configuration data.
Yeah.
So
it's I understand that it's a hassle.
A clean install. Yeah. I think that's a very good way of managing it, because it means the DIY and enthusiast space who are just like, we want to run Windows 11 on unsupported hardware. Yeah. Microsoft are like, cool, go ahead. You just got to do a clean install, which you're more than capable of doing.
Yeah, exactly.
However, people on OEM systems and home users will not get a forced update, which would be inappropriate for them. Because, I mean, you guys remember the backlash from the Windows 10 forced updates, the Get Windows 10 program? It was a heckin' mess. Because people all got forced onto Windows 10. And this is basically to stop that from happening.
Yeah, I certainly feel like it.
Yeah.
It just depends on... Because to a degree, Windows 11 should be able to just drop in as a build update.
Oh, turn off the OBS. Thanks, guys. I completely forgot. Whoop. There we go. Hello again.
Hi. But yeah, it should just be able to just effectively drop in as a large build update, I would imagine. Just because that's all it really is. Certainly from a other programs functioning inside Windows point of view kind of thing. Because I've noticed no real difference between the two in it doing stuff, and people have been benchmarking the developer previews for games and have found maybe 2 or 3 FPS different here and there,
which
and so on.
Basically a margin of error.
Except for in a couple of super high FPS games, because of scheduler changes.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I can see how you'd be a case of, I don't want that. I want 600 frames a second in CSGO as opposed to the 500 I'm getting on Windows 11.
Again, you're getting into niche situations there, though.
It's kind of a case of, yes, but that's a scheduler thing, and arguably that can also be tweaked anyway.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a case of, also, it's still a dev preview, so
I feel like it's coming out... I want to say I feel like it's coming out too soon, which is not to say they're rushing it out. I'm sure if it's actually being released, then they consider that it's ready to be released. But I feel like you should have a ready to go, a gold master in dev on the preview channel for like a month or 2 months before the actual release day, so people have got like a 1 or 2 month window of testing the version that's actually going to get released.
Yeah, absolutely. But that would, based off of your thing, that means the build update would need to come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah, that's my point. It's just like,
difference.
Well, if this, because when's it coming out? Next month or 2 months?
5th of October.
5th of October, yeah. So that's it. So in that case, if it's coming out in a month and but then on the other hand, I don't know what compatibility is like yet. Are people still having compatibility issues that you've seen or heard of? I have not had my finger on the pulse for this.
I have not seen anyone have any compatibility issues on supported hardware, which is one statement. The issue there was an issue where the most recent, or the one just before that, build update caused some issues with the start menu.
Yeah.
And there was effectively an official workaround for that issue, listed alongside the update for people who suffered with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean, as Microsoft said, people who are running unsupported hardware who got grandfathered into the developer preview will not be able to update to the final version of Windows 11, as they said and as they agreed to when they updated to Windows 11 with unsupported hardware.
Yeah, for anyone who's getting snotty that their computer got kicked off of the Insider program, like, what did you think was going to happen? You know, Microsoft were very clear about these requirements from day one. Like, you know, and like I said sort of, oh, they'll back down on that, and then I was like, oh, it looks like they're not backing down on that. And hey ho, they didn't back down on that in the end. The fact that you can actually do a clean install is quite a boon, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a good thing, but I'm surprised they did it.
As far as I can tell, I haven't actually confirmed this, but it looks like they're effectively saying you can install from the ISO on literally anything you want. It certainly looks like that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Because, nothing else really happening. On that front, the inline upgrades are going to be different. You have to have a TPM, you have to have a different, you have to have the supported processes, etc., yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I don't see how it's particularly different to the situation we were in with the upgrade to Windows 10. Just possibly it will go more smoothly.
Yeah. Hopefully it might be a little bit better as well, just because, I mean, it depends how it pans out, because I think there's going to be a lot of computers out in the wild that are running Windows 10 that were upgraded from 7, and they were kind of upgraded from 7 to 10 at the end of their life cycle. But on the other hand, they won't qualify for the Windows 11 update anyway, will they? Because they're old. So that's a complete non-issue.
Yeah, exactly. It's cutting out all of those machines that got upgraded to Windows 10 that should have been retired.
Yeah.
Basically. So, yeah.
You're trying to join the Discord and it won't allow you to join. I need a bit more information than that. It should be coming up with the the community rules and click here to agree to the rules. So yeah, not sure there.
But yeah, it's yes.
It's
something. That's the thing. I'm not understanding, should I say, all of the resistance and saying, oh, look how Microsoft is changing its mind and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't know what it's saying.
Same.
When it said the same thing basically the entire way through.
Yeah, I think I have no issue with how Windows 11 is coming out, and I think it's being handled. I think it's being handled just fine. My only grievance is just simply that I don't care about the product. Windows 11 has no compelling new features that make me excited about it, which is not to say I don't want it. I mean, when it gets released, I mean, I think I'm going to upgrade my home rig to Windows 11 this weekend, so I can test it on a computer that I actually use daily. Because my home rig, I use it daily, but it's not mission critical. If it goes horribly wrong, I can reinstall Windows on that. And then I can actually get some time on a daily driver. Because I wanted to put it on my laptop, but my laptop isn't supported because Skylake.
I mean, you could install from the ISO.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it means clean installing. And I was. I don't know what's on that laptop. Oh, yeah. There was a couple of things about that laptop install that I'm just like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to reinstall on that one. There's a couple of apps on there, like for example, I heavily use. I make most of my thumbnails on that laptop for the videos and I still make thumbnails in Fireworks version 1902 or
Fireworks version 1.
Yeah, Fireworks Stone Age, because I like Fireworks. Okay, Fireworks did nothing wrong and didn't deserve what happened to it. Anyway, however, I don't want to reinstall it, so I want to test on something else first, just so it's not something that will interrupt. Oh no, but then my home computer is very easy to test on, so I'm going to test it on that. And I'm going to do that this weekend. And if that goes well, then I'll just simply be in the mindset of, I will upgrade to Windows 11 when it comes out because it's the latest version of Windows. However, I'm not going to sing its praises from the heavens because I'm going to be like, it's a skin change.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, there are lots and lots of bits and pieces that are changed.
Yeah.
The biggest difference I noticed when I was running it on my gaming PC, on my PC at home, is the fact that Microsoft Store was faster at everything.
Yeah.
Which was fabulous. It's a nice option. It's a nice upgrade there. Downloading Windows Store games or installing Windows Store games was a faster process.
Yeah, that's good, because the Microsoft App Store isn't a very good experience at the moment.
I've never had a problem with it on my computers.
It's possible. It just doesn't impress me, you know.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with it on any of my computers.
Yeah.
That's not to say there aren't issues out there, but again, I seem to dodge almost all of the issues that people have and have completely different ones, like random crashes because graphics cards clock themselves too high.
Yeah.
What? But anyway, and just all of that was a bit faster. And by a bit faster, I mean it actually properly utilized my gigabit connection, as opposed to capping out at about 500, 550-ish megabit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no! Woe is me, I'm only downloading games at half a gigabit.
Imagine that. Such peasantry.
Yeah, but like it changed that and made it so it was at like 800 or 900 megabit and just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it made it so the actual installing bit, when it's done the downloading and it's doing the final little wrap-up bit, the final little wrap-up bit was a little bit faster and stuff like that. And it was like, there's lots of nips and tucks and tweaks and improvements and
I feel like Windows 11 is more of a quality of life update rather than a new version of Windows kind of thing. I mean,
but
someone said earlier on it's Windows 10.5, and I think Windows 10.1 is probably a more apt description of it.
To a degree,
however, at the same time, from a marketing perspective, you know, like you say for OEM, people were saying, "Oh, it's just for OEMs and stuff like that." I'm just like, yeah.
But
and
it's also,
you know, and that's not a problem. If OEMs want to put a big old Windows 11, then what's the problem? You know, fine, do it. You know.
Yeah, and also the other thing is obviously because the minimum spec has increased, and that minimum spec is different for OEMs.
Yeah. And while it's going to be a little bit painful at the immediate crossover point for some, there are some computers out there that are really not old systems yet are not supported. You're just like, that's kind of unfortunate, really. That computer is a victim of circumstance.
But then again, it's an HP stream.
Yeah, but then, but like, wasn't it? It got posted earlier on that it was that didn't 8th gen get support after all or something like that?
8th gen is already supported.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
There was a single extra 7th gen laptop processor was added in recently.
Yeah. Either way, I'm sure that there are going to be a couple of laptops or a couple of specs that are victims of circumstance, but give it a year or two when we're actually into the normal life cycle of Windows 11 and no one will care anymore. Except we won't be getting people coming into our computer shops with garbage netbooks with 32 gigs of eMMC and then going, oh, I've just bought this laptop, it's ever so slow. And I'm just like, yeah, because it's garbage.
Yeah.
And they should be allowed to sell this. And now they won't be able to sell it.
The problem is it'll just be a 64.
Yeah, but that's fine. 64 gigs is...
But it'll still be eMMC.
Yeah, but while it will be crap, it won't be unusable. The issue at the moment is that you can buy 32 gig eMMC laptops and they are literally unusable.
Yeah.
They literally cannot install Windows updates, which is a critical fail condition. Yeah. Because
absolutely.
Because it means they just, every time a 32 gig eMMC laptop comes into my shop, it's running an archaic version of Windows. I had one in the other day that was running like 1603 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I saw the old style icons. I'm like, what the hell? And when I actually looked, I was like, oh no, it's a 32 gig eMMC. And this was like a 14-inch laptop kind of thing. It was a really nice laptop, but it had Garbo storage in it, no SATA connections, no M.2 connections. And I said to the customer, I said, I can't do anything with this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The only thing I can do is reinstall Windows on the latest build, but it will still be a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's I find it very annoying, though, that those devices don't have any way of you adding anything to them.
That's the biggest dick move.
Given that 40 mil M2s exist,
yeah,
and they're not particularly expensive, and I could just stick in 128 gig one of those.
That is one of those places where, I hate being the conspiracy built-in obsolescence guy, but that's the only explanation for it, because... I know adding in an M.2 connector adds 5 cents to the build cost, and that means it's slightly more expensive, so they're going to cut it out. But that would be like saying, oh, well, the power, that would be like saying, well, the power button is too expensive, so we put just a jumper on there and you have to short it with a spoon every time you want to turn it on. It's like, no, this is a critical component here. You've built a laptop with critically low storage. Having expansion on it should be a critical feature.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to interrupt this conversation to do some super chats because I've been neglecting them. Yeah. Christopher David, thank you very much for the $20. Greetings, gents. Love your live streams. Keep up the great work. You're very welcome, Christopher David. Friendly reminder to everyone that the stream will be moving to a new second channel. Make sure you keep your eyes on the Adamant IT Twitter account or the YouTube account or the video descriptions for more information when that happens.
Also just the Discord in general.
Oh yeah, the Discord as well. If you're not in the Discord, join the Discord because that also gets all the updates ever. You won't miss a thing if you're in the Discord.
And there's actual just live conversation.
Yes.
In there.
People talk about computers and tech in there. It's a jolly nice little community.
Also, I just meant the fact that you can literally just ask a question in there, and someone will be able to answer.
Yeah, you can say,
"What's the new YouTube channel?" Oh, yes, and someone will reply. Yeah. So yes,
and they won't give you a snarky comment either, because I slap people who do that. Not that it happens very often, but yeah. Omnicron, thank you very much for the £5. In a world where computers have become so powerful that no one needs to upgrade, how do you sell new computers? Windows 11 is just one way. Yeah, you're not wrong to an extent. Kind of. However, while there's still people with SSDs are still, I want to say people with SSDs are still in the minority. In the enthusiast workspace, no. However, the vast majority of computers that come into my shop for repair still hard drives.
Of all computers, I would say that yes, absolutely, it is the minority. I wonder if you were to take, because it's the only big box store we've got in the UK, PC World, and sampled their desktops, what percentage have hard drives as the primary installed drive? Because I would imagine it's probably only 2 or 3% now, because an awful lot of them have like 128 gig hard drive. Sorry, 128 gig SSD plus terabyte hard drive.
Yeah. The rollout is pretty good, and like if you go to the Dell website and you buy their cheapest laptop now I think are 128 gig SSDs.
Have they changed that?
I think so. Oh, well, I think they've probably got the cheapest of the cheap that's got a hard drive in it. But
because I thought you had to go up to at least £600 before it came with an SSD.
No, and like the other week I was complaining about the prices of Dell laptops. It has come back down again. It was just a bad week.
They had just gone 50% price increases on everything.
Yeah, I think it was like DFS. At some point there has to be no sale for a week or so, and then there will be another sale. It was because it's the same deal with Dell. You know, there wasn't a sale, and then the next week everything was on sale again.
What's that?
Finally, before we carry on with that conversation, and we'll talk more about no one needing to upgrade, because that's a very interesting discussion, I think. Turnip Gaming 97, thank you very much for the £5. Afternoon, lads. Do you think, in your opinion, with current PC technology, you can't build a computer for 250 quid to compete with an Xbox Series S?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You cannot.
Correct. Yep.
Which is exactly the same as the previous generation and the generation before. And don't miss the super chat from Ben Laird.
Ben Laird, thank you for the £5. Thank you very much.
But it's exactly the same as when the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 came out. You could not build a computer that was comparable in in-game performance. Not in raw hardware power, but actual in-game performance for the same money for about 18 months afterwards.
Yeah.
It took a new generation of hardware to bring in the minimum priced options to then start comparing.
Yeah.
Which happens every generation. There's a new console, basically.
Yeah. I think that's a reasonable thing to say. Although it bears mention that certainly the Xbox Series S, with how affordable it is, definitely takes that to an extreme, I think. I think it's going to take
Series S is nuts.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot longer than 18 months before you can build a PC that will go toe-to-toe with a Series S for the same price. You know?
Certainly.
I hesitate to say I don't think you ever will be able to in this generation. Because like £250.
Well, you will do though.
£250 though, man.
Yeah, but generations are going to be like 8 years.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
8 years time, integrated graphics will be the same performance.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay.
If the current leaks are true with RDNA 2
is pretty special. Yeah.
Going on an APU. Yeah. We're going to have that performance in like 8 years time. So yeah, I don't see that being an issue. But yeah. Where was I going? Yes. Ignoring the global situation with hardware and supply and pricing on all of that, I think that if we were not in that situation, we'd still be looking at probably 2 generations on PC hardware to become price comparable to the current consoles. Not performance comparable, because we're already there.
Yeah.
But to become price comparable, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's to build in my opinion, to build something that gives you the consistency of performance at 4K output that the PlayStation 5 or Series X does, you're looking at like £2,000 for the tower.
Yeah. I think the consoles seem to have been largely immune to the massive price hikes that PCs have seen. They are more expensive than the previous generation, but I think that's just inflation, yada yada yada. I don't think that's because that's not a price hike. That's just things costing more than they used to. I think the price of the new consoles is incredibly competitive, whereas obviously graphics cards specifically we've seen go massively up in price. And there's an argument to be had over whether that's justified or not, depending on what we're looking at and so on, scalping aside, etc., etc.
Yeah,
however,
comparing MSRP to MSRP.
That's right. But
I don't know.
The fact remains that if you want to buy a top-end graphics card today, you're looking at $700 to $1,000, and that's just for your graphics card. Whereas, the previous generation was not like that. But the consoles have not gone up in price. They have
comparably not gone up as much.
When the Xbone first released, it was $550, I think, wasn't it?
I wouldn't like to comment because I paid zero attention to it.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was about £500, or it was probably like 400. But by the time you've bought a game for it and like a second controller and like the stuff that you're gonna buy for it, you were gonna walk out the shop with £500 less in your pocket. So having the new consoles costing again, the 250 for the Series S must be subsidised.
Well, all of the console prices are subsidised.
True, yeah.
All of them are subsidised because they expect to make their money back on the license for making a game for the console, blah, 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 blah,
yeah,
et cetera,
precisely.
et cetera.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, ecosystem, etc., etc. But, yes, I wasn't particularly interested in the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One launches because I expected them to be somewhat crappy in the same way as the PlayStation 3 and 360 were by the time they had gotten replaced. I expected something to be actually reasonably low effort, so I paid it no attention, and only started paying attention to it a year or so after the PlayStation 4 Professional and the Xbox One X had come out. About a year after that, I paid attention to the consoles, and I was suddenly just like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's also the fact that now the consoles are actually doing 1440p or 4K and 60 FPS or higher. It's like, okay, these things are actually good now. We're not actually making big concessions to have console gaming. Whereas previously, playing on a console, that meant 30 FPS, man. And that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. Whereas
certainly
now,
going from 120 low input lag displays and all of that stuff. I feel there has been a marked improvement in their attractiveness to the, I wouldn't say hardcore PC gamer, because they're not going to care. They're going to go, oh, consoles are terrible anyway.
Well, that's just it. I've got no desire for a console because I have a gaming PC.
I have no desire for one because I have a gaming PC. But if I did not have one, I'm looking at them now going, I can't see why I'd want a gaming PC. Certainly 2020, 2021.
Yeah. Like when a kid comes into my shop and the parent's just like, he wants to play games kind of thing. And it's just like, unless he specifically wants a PC because he wants to play PC specific games, buy him an Xbox. It makes an awful lot more sense.
Or if you don't already have a decently functional family PC, then buy him a gaming PC. So he's got a computer. Or she, they, them, the child. The child has a decently functioning computer because you can use it for education. I don't mean school homework. I mean educational videos on YouTube.
Yes.
I mean educational websites with
access
manuals
to content
and stuff.
Yeah.
Because sure, you can browse the web on a console, but it's not the same experience. Yeah. So yeah, and
yes,
it sounds like I'm arguing against myself, but I'm saying, as with all of these things, it's nuanced.
Yes,
and it depends on your circumstance. If you as a family have £270 total to spend, that's it, and you want to play games well, get a Series S.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hate on you for doing that.
No.
I'm not going to go, oh, you're a terrible console scrub.
Yeah. I mean, so like, at one point, it would be a case silly. Of, okay, I know you're on a really strict budget, but let's see if we can get you a gaming PC. Whereas now it's like, well, if you're on a budget of like less than 500, a console, unless you actually have a use, like unless you want to use it for access to the internet, etc., you know, a console is probably going to make a lot more sense than buying a bottom of the barrel PC kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cutting in with another super chat, and just to catch up on some things. S. Thorne, thank you very much for the $5 or the $4.99. Do you accept packages to your shop address? I'd like to send you a goodie box with some gear that I use, including items for proper jumper wires. Yeah, I do accept packages. If you want to send me some stuff, you're more than welcome to. And I would much appreciate it. So yeah, it's certainly, if you want to send me some bits that you find useful, I will try them out and be like, yes, this is very good. This is very helpful. So yeah, you're more than welcome to send stuff in. Address is on the website. So go to adamant.it.co.uk and the shop address is there. Thank you very much.
And one day that website may not be written in black on blue.
Maybe. I promise nothing.
Is that just a really weird way of discouraging older clientele? Yeah. By going, I'll make it so it's very difficult to read the address.
Shush. Let's see. I saw something interesting a while back, but I've lost it now, so...
I'm amazed that 3060s are still appearing for MSRP. I'm amazed that they're doing that. Given there's not a Founders Edition, it's up to the AIBs to do it.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that they're appearing at MSRP, given they've got 12 gigs of VRAM and GDDR is hecking expensive right now. It's 75% above contract price or something like that at the moment.
Yeah.
I think that was the report for August, was the average sale price was something like 75% above contract.
Yeah, it almost just doesn't make sense at the moment, does it? Just like, the card itself just doesn't make sense at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's like, to me, it's kind of like, yeah, you can kind of justify that price on a 3090, even though that's 24 gigs.
Yeah.
You can kind of justify that because the price of the device is £1,400.
Yeah.
So kind of there will be more margin built in, I hope.
Yeah. I still need to look up the review videos for the 6600 XT just so I can understand the 1440p issues with it better, because I was like, as you know, I recently I've got a couple of 6600 XTs in the shop, and I took one home to use it to stream games on, because for me, one of the big obstructions for me with using an AMD graphics card is that if you are a streamer or you deal with just video encoding in general, you will learn to love NVIDIA NVENC, because it makes everything better. And so for me, I've never considered an AMD graphics card, because I'm just like, but I need my NVENC, man. I need it. And so I took one of the 6600 XTs home, plugged it into my main computer, and I played games at 1440p, and I streamed at 1440p using the built-in AMD encoder, and it was fine. It was great.
Oh, did you actually use the...
I did.
Actual hardware one?
I didn't use it when I did the actual stream, but I did test with it.
Yeah.
And on testing, it was a case of, okay, this needs a lot of fettling to get the quality right, but but you need to tweak your settings anyway when you stream. You know, that's why people have got their OBS set up just because they've tinkered in the settings.
They have.
I hope they have, yeah. Some streamers haven't. Sometimes I tune into a Twitch streamer and I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with your encoder settings? You need to fix that.
I tried walking someone through that in their chat, whilst not particularly remember using OBS.
The problem is they can't change it while they're streaming.
Yeah, but just a case of not kind of how to change it, but like, this is the stuff. And I was just like, I realised I got halfway through and then went, it's easier if you message me on the Discord that we're both a member of, and then we can run through this. But they were struggling to get like 6 or 7 FPS.
Ah, yes.
Because somehow their OBS was just murderizing their PC.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, that's not what we wanted in the slightest.
Some people are streaming on computers that are just not spec'd for streaming.
Yeah, but it was like an i5 and a 1060. And they were getting like 6 FPS.
Depends what... Well, 6 is a bit low, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it was genuinely 6 to 7 FPS.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's broken.
The i5 can run out of puff in a streaming environment. It can do it. You can absolutely stream on an i5,
absolutely. But I was saying, like, I'm going to set your expectations here. Your expectations are 720p 30.
Yeah.
You'll be able to stream. It'll be good. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Do not expect more than that.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
And maybe you can tweak up from there dependent on the game. But let's get you to 30 FPS and 720p.
Yeah. Ugh. Yes. I think that's certainly where a lot of people need to get to there and just like stop. Some people are trying to stream at 1080p super high quality, and I'm just like, no, not on that PC. But,
not on anything. Yeah. Don't stream at 1080p on Twitch.
Well, yeah, that's true.
There is not the bandwidth.
But yeah, how did we get into this conversation? We were going to say something. Oh yeah,
you were talking about the 6600
That's right.
XT.
So yeah, you can absolutely do that. So what I was going to say is the point is, as far as I'm concerned, the 6600 XT is a very viable little card right now. However, I have not watched the reviews on it to see where it falls over because I was gaming at 1440p. However, I hear that in many games it falls over at 1440p.
I'm trying to pick my words without sounding like I'm calling people liars, because they're not, and that is not what I intend. It's the statement of absolute performance to relative performance.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a case. The issue is the absolute performance is fine.
Yeah.
The absolute performance is fine. The relative performance is poor. And that's the kind of the problem with it. Because the 6600 XT is slower than a 5700 XT at 1440p in several games. So that's kind of the issue.
Yes, I see what you mean.
The absolute performance is fine, but the relative is mediocre at best.
Yes.
But
and of course
best.
we have to keep
Good Lord words.
Yeah. And of course we have to keep in mind that this is a graphics card that costs, well, I mean, obviously the week it was released, we were just like, oh, you can find one at £300 probably. And just like
about 330,
yeah, or 330. However, literally a day or so after that, it was a case of no, you will not get those at that price now. I ended up buying mine for $375 a pop, and at the time I was just like, really? I thought we could get these for $330, but literally as within that 24-hour time window, the stock dried up and the price went whoop. So $330 went out the window.
Yeah, £433.
Yeah.
€497, €479, €479,
and that's
€453.
Yeah, but so that's the thing.
£420. So yeah, that's roughly where it's sitting at the moment.
Yeah, and so like the 3060 Ti
is sitting at 600.
Oh god, yeah. So just that entire section of the market sucks basically. Like, you don't mind paying...
The value gets better the higher up the stack you go.
Yeah, that's just it. Because at that point, you may as well go, fine, I'll go to £700 and buy a 3070, because, or the AMD equivalent, because then at that point, at least I have a very strong graphics card, and I'm like, okay, I paid £700 for this, but I've got a small wrecking machine. Whereas, you know, the problem with the lower end ones, like the 3060 Ti and the 6600 XT, you know, you're buying low 1440p cards and paying $500,000 for it, and you're like, oh god, is that how much these cost? Because like, this is the thing, the 6600 XT, it's supposed to be the new king of 1080p, but it's just like, really, 1080p costs £400 now? that 1080p used to cost 200 to 250 for a king of 1080p graphics card. Yeah. You could get something even cheaper than that, but if you spent about 200 to 300 pounds on a graphics card, you would be able to run anything maxed out at 1080p.
Absolutely. And part of the issue is, though, that obviously those cards were the 500 or the 50 version. So like the 50 Ti or something, or the the X500X something ones. Those have not launched yet and are probably never going to get launched. They're probably not going to get launched in this generation because demand is still so far outstripping supply. Yeah. And it is a demand issue, not a supply issue. Yeah. Mostly. So yeah, but also the fact of obviously when we're looking at that, don't forget that on average there's also been inflation, just raw devaluation of money. Yeah. So the prices have to go up anyway because stuff costs more, because money's worth less. So inflation is a thing, so prices have to go up, and you can't compare a 10-year-old graphics card's MSRP to today directly because there's been 10 years of inflation on goods. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That much being said, of course, is that at the end of the day, good 1080p is still fine for the masses.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, no, I'm in no way demeaning the point of 1080p.
I was bringing that as an addition to, because I'm sitting here complaining that the new low end card doesn't do very well at 1440p, and it's just like, but then on the other hand, that's not a problem for the vast majority of people. So yeah,
but it is that balance, and it is that point of just the bottom end of the market is very much more expensive right now than it was in the last generation because we have so much more demand, because supply is so much lower than demand. Also a case of there's so much less second-hand stuff freely flowing. So all of those factors have meant that the bottom end of the market has gone up in price. Yeah. Neither commenting on that being a good thing or a bad thing, just a statement that it has. So
yeah, that sounds reasonable. Mike Ladd got a 3060 12 gig for 400. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think that's just the going rate right now. And if you're at 1080p, then that's going to knock anything out the park at 1080p. So that's where it's at. And certainly the full hash rate cards are going for silly money. Because I'm hopefully about to sell my 3070 Founders for an obnoxious amount of money to fund a 3080 Ti. So but it's what it is, isn't it?
Or you sell both of them and then get a low hash rate one.
Well, the 3080 Ti will be a low hash rate, won't it? I thought all of the TIs were low hash rate.
Because they're Founders Editions, and apparently the Founders Editions aren't going to become low hash rate ones, even if they were a card that was launched as a low hash rate card. To quote Nvidia, even though, as far as I'm aware, there was not a non-low hash rate version of the 3070 Ti and 3080 Ti. So I'm not certain because I haven't seen anyone test it. Yeah. But Nvidia's statement on it is slightly confusing. Yeah. Because they said none of the Founders Edition cards will be changing to low hash rate. But if they were launching as low hash rate cards, does that mean they are a low hash rate card? Yeah. But you don't need to specify whether a 3070 Ti or 3080 Ti is low hash rate. Yeah. Because there were only low hash rate ones. Just moving. And no one has, and as far as I know, no one has done any benchmarking on them for hashing of Ethereum. So I don't know. But
maybe. Yeah, I'd have to consider that. I mean, that much being said, I mean, the chances of me finding I guess if I sold the 3070 and the 3080 Ti FE cards, I'd have nearly $2,000 in my pocket, and I could buy whatever graphics card I wanted then. But on the flip side, I really like the Founders Edition cards. Yeah. So I'm kind of inclined to so I'm kind of inclined to keep one of them anyway. Even though, I don't know if I'd find a 3080 Ti partner card that I liked more than the Founders Edition.
Yeah.
Even though the partner cards make more sense because they've got higher power budgets, more cooling and stuff like that. I just really like the look of the FE
They do
cards.
look good.
Yeah.
They do look good.
And that's the thing. I'm not super bothered about going turbo. Like a 3080 Ti is hilarious overkill for my use case anyway. The only reason why I've got it is that I had an opportunity.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
So.
Yes.
We are in a slightly weird part of the kind of we're in a weird bit of the market.
Yeah.
Or weird bit of the cycle. I don't know. The stuff is a bit odd. The stuff and things are a bit odd.
Yes. You can sell your 1070 Ti for more than what you bought your 3060 for. Really? That's horrendous.
Yeah.
That's horrendous. Let's see. 3080 Ti FE is stunning. Yeah. We'll see. I'll have to... depends if I can hide the hacking cable, but I'm still working on the torrent build. The torrent build is in progress. I did do most of it last weekend, but it's not done yet. So the video is going to take probably another week or two just because the build is not finished. I'm using the computer, but there's too much on it that I still want to change before I share it. So yeah, with a bit of luck, I'll get to share it with a 3080 Ti in it, which will look awesome because the 3070 looks a little bit small in the torrent. Update as well, Fractal did email everyone and they have got a newly designed fan hub in the process. They released a statement and they said exactly what the problem was in detail, and it was basically what both myself and Gamers Nexus said. And I say myself because I put my video out before Gamers Nexus. Take that, Steve. It literally was the 12-volt plane on the top of the PCB.
What, with a screw going through it?
Yeah, pretty much. And the manufacturing part was to do with when assembling it, when the screws were put in. Obviously, they're put in using electric screwdrivers because that's what you do in assembly. And in certain circumstances, obviously, when you buzz that screw in, it would cause the hub to twist slightly under the torque of the screw. So that could cause, and that is where the damage or the poor positioning can lie. Yeah. If you're putting it in with hand, that would never happen. But in a factory assembly environment, there was scope for potential issues. The new one, they have redesigned it so the 12-volt traces are all on the back, and they are now routed so as not to be a flood fill. It should be immune to the main issues. I still take some exception to the exposed pins and stuff like that, but something that I noticed in the Gamers Nexus video is that all Fractal fan hubs and controllers always have those exposed pins on them anyway, so that's clearly not what they're concerned about. And it's like, it's not ideal, but it's not a critical issue. The flood fill 12-volt plane was definitely the main problem there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and they reckon they're going to have those shipping within the next 3 weeks, I think they said, by September. We're in September, aren't we? So yeah, I think late September they reckon they were going to be shipping. Gamers Nexus reckon that's incredibly optimistic, but this is the second time they've said they'll be shipping in September, so...
Yeah. Well, yeah, they said they expected to have a new design available in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, it seems like they've spun these up and got them to manufacturing incredibly fast. But, I guess, all they have to do is send new Gerber files to the to the factory and say, here's the updated design, start printing these instead. So, yeah, it's theoretically probably not a big deal. Like, if they had to change the shape of the PCB and stuff like that, that requires retooling and all the rest of it. But all they've done is update the Gerber file for the PCB, and that's not a big deal from a manufacturing perspective. So, yes. But yeah, again though, as Sean just said, with modern day CAD and CAM, this kind of tolerance should have been avoided. Yeah, it was a poor design in the first place, and I'm not sure what they were thinking. But I'm not expecting them to turn around, and that it would be asking a lot for them to admit that. I think they have done due diligence by reacting to this in such a manner. So. Shouldn't have happened in the first place, but I feel like the sin is forgiven for how they have managed to react and turn this around.
Yeah, they have reacted promptly, and they have reacted in a way to resolve the issue by replacing it. As opposed to kind of going, the user's doing it wrong, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Which obviously is a possibility that they could have gone with and just said, oh yeah, due to user assembly error, there were issues with these 4 boards or something.
Yeah, fair enough. Also, just going back to the previous topic, Oblique Abyss says that looking at Reddit, a guy did a hash test on the 3080 Ti Founders Edition, was getting a lower hash rate than a 3080 vanilla.
That ties. That makes sense.
So
then if
perhaps the confusion then is that it's not so much that it's a low hash rate card, because if you call it a low hash rate card, that would infer that there is a high hash rate card.
Yeah,
so perhaps that's where the confusion comes in.
Yeah.
It is a low hash rate card, but there is no non-low hash rate version, which is probably why they don't have the LHR branding.
Well, that's what NVIDIA said, but NVIDIA also said in a backwards way that none of their Founders Editions cards would be low hash rate.
Yeah.
Which kind of inferred that the Founders Editions 3080 Ti and 3080 Ti and 3070 Ti would be special silicon.
Yeah.
It could be inferred that, but obviously they never explicitly stated that, and the testing demonstrates that is not what they meant.
Yeah. Although that much being said, the 3070 Ti was a paper release anyway, wasn't it? To my knowledge, the 3070 Ti Founders doesn't exist, because that was
were 2 that I've seen 2 stock drops on scan for Founders Editions of 3070 Ti's.
Okay, yeah.
The last one was 29 days ago.
All right, so maybe they exist now, because certainly at release, everyone, no one was able to find anyone who actually had one, and it felt like they might have made like 10 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. But
all of the review samples were all engineering samples.
Yeah, I've not. So, I don't know. I didn't specifically look at anything more than that.
Yeah. Oh, apparently they're all over eBay now. Okay, no, ignore me then. Yeah, I guess that situation is updated.
It was certainly a case of I've seen 2 Founders Edition stock drops.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Or no, I haven't. I did not notice them. I saw that they were listed on stock drops that have occurred in the past. When did the 30 series come out? 12 months ago? 11 months ago?
Oh, I can't remember. Really? Yeah.
When was it? Where are we? September. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
11 months ago.
Yeah, because it was about the same time as the 5000 series, which again, that was late 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, about 11 months ago. Yeah.
Man. It seems like they're brand new, but we've been doing this song and dance for a year now, haven't we?
Yeah. But then again, it was kind of, mooted that it would be a case it wouldn't be resolved until end of 2022.
That's true. Yeah.
So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
I think it kind of had a double whammy, because everyone was saying, "Oh, it won't." This is going to go on all throughout 2021. But then for a minute, it looks like stock was starting to ease up, and people were just like, "Oh, it looks like we're going to get out of this a bit earlier than previously expected." And now we've kind of just sort of swung back into that. I almost wonder if that expectation that it looks like we were coming out of the woods was what caused that, because people were just like, "Oh, stock is available now. I'll actually try and buy a graphics card now," and it's kind of dragged the stock back down again.
I wonder. Yeah, but also apparently there's been an issue of some kind with NVIDIA's manufacturing, which is possibly going to cause a reduction of supply of NVIDIA GPUs for the next few weeks.
Oof, yeah.
So that's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. On the flip side, though, I mean, as per our discussion about the 6600 XT, I do actually feel confident about saying to people, yes, go ahead and buy an AMD card then if you can find one at an appropriate price.
Yeah.
Because previously, whenever I was talking to people, if they were doing any kind of streaming or video work, I was like, I don't know if I can recommend you an AMD card because you won't have NVENC.
Yeah.
However, the AMD Advanced Media Engine, I think it's called now. No, Advanced Media Framework Encoder, I think it's the AMD one now, is absolutely fine. Whereas the old one was called VCE, I think it was. AMD VCE was the old video hardware encoder.
Yeah, that was the pre-RDNA one.
That's right. That was on the RX series, or well, the R9. The Radeon.
Yeah, it was VCE from something like the HD 6000 series, all the way through to the RX. The RX5 series.
Yeah, and the important thing
500 series. Sorry.
The important thing is that VCE was a big pile of crap. Basically, I used it a few times, and
apparently it was hardware defective on several generations.
Yeah. It couldn't go toe to toe with an i5 doing X264, and if you can't go toe to toe with a mediocre CPU, then it doesn't doing it in software. Then it doesn't work.
Yeah, it was apparently hardware defective on many generations.
Yeah, whereas
shocking.
Yeah, AMF is and the other thing as well is that it had really poor support, which wasn't AMD's fault, but because obviously lots of people were in bed with Nvidia about it. But the thing is now, when I tried to use this 6600 XT, I plugged it in. And when I opened OBS without doing any updates, I thought I'd have to get a fork of OBS that had the support or something like that. But no, I opened it OBS and it said, "Hey, you've now got AMD encoding." And I was like, "Sure, use that." Bam.
Yeah.
And as I say, the only thing I would have to do to go live with that is just to do a little bit of testing to tweak the quality settings and just find that balancing point of quality versus performance cost. And you'd be off to the races. So as I say, if NVIDIA cards are drying up, I'm more than happy to say to people, go and buy yourself a Radeon then, because they're actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. And that I feel great being able to say that, because I've wanted to like Radeon graphics cards for a long time, but I just didn't know if I could recommend them because I've never daily driven one. I haven't daily driven an AMD card since my 280X. And that was a long time ago.
Although it's not a case of liking them. It's not a case of liking Radeon or AMD or Nvidia.
Yes.
It's a case of liking the product that has been released and feeling comfortable in recommending it.
Yes.
The company is still a company. It is not your friend.
Oh, yeah.
But the point is, I think you're not saying, "Oh, I'm recommending it now because they paid me off."
Yes.
They have not supplied me with free cards.
No.
I mean, God, don't bother with a suitcase of money. Give me a suitcase with 7 graphics cards
That's right, yeah.
It'll be worth 10 times as much.
I have used some modern AMD graphics cards and find that they now fulfill roles that the old ones could not.
Yeah, exactly.
And that now means that I can recommend them to anyone who was previously doubtful about AMD products or AMD graphics cards.
There is a possibility that the chat has died. Just because the chat rate has just gone.
Oh, okay, yeah. Are you still alive, chat? Someone say something. In before wall of highs.
Just suddenly 700 messages. Yeah. Oh, look.
There we go. There we go. Here it all comes. There we go. Here comes the highs. Thank you very much.
There you go.
It's still alive.
Good.
I think we'd just gotten really boring for a moment there, and everyone was just like, okay. So, something. Yep, there we go. Okay. Good. Very well. And now we've just buried whatever other people were talking about. So
I mean, it's our party, and we can.
It's true,
sing
but
if we want to.
Sorry, J Rose and Shitch and whoever was talking about they were doing some tech support in chat. So sorry. Fair enough. We fell asleep. Yeah. Anyway, Colin Mitchell's still happy with an RX 580. That card is holding up pretty good in my opinion. So yeah. Is current gen AMF H264 or H265? I think it was H264. However, H265 stuff is still fairly uncommon. I think that NVENC is still...
Does NVENC 3? Is it NVENC 3 we're on?
Yeah, NVENC is still H264, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Because the thing is they've got... The thing about it is it's not so much that NVENC has been tweaking it not for absolute maximum quality, but for... specifically for games, for dealing with high frame rates and stuff like that. Because of course H264 and H265 that they were originally developed for video formats which are generally considered to be 24 frames a second, 30 frames a second for movies, and they weren't developed for video games where we were expecting a great deal of smeary motion on screen at high frame rates.
I'm sorry, a great deal of what?
Smeary motion. Yes. And I believe that a lot of the development that has gone into NVENC has not been so much like whenever people do comparisons, when they, the problem is when people do comparisons, they'll take a screenshot of a H.264 encode, and then they'll take a screenshot of the NVENC encode and go, look, you can't see the difference. I'm like, no, that's not the point. Taking a single frame screenshot is not representative. You need to look at how much smudge and motion blur there is between the frames. Literally, the writing is between the lines. So you need to look at the video and the motion of it. And this is why when I was comparing capture cards now, I was comparing video, because I'm just like, look, you can do a snapshot and you can be like, okay, look at these edges, look at the lines, you can see the compression there. But also it's a matter of how smooth it is, where the frame drops are, how much smearing there is between keyframes and stuff like that. And that's where the magic of NVENC comes in. And I don't know if AMD probably have not put in as much work, but I'm sure they have something that's serviceable.
They can't. They obviously can't, because NVIDIA has more stuff.
Haven't they got more people on their driver team than the entirety of AMD as a company or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the statistic.
Yeah.
Or something like Intel has more people working in marketing than AMD has staff.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was just like, that kind of puts into scale these companies compared to AMD. And I'm not saying that means you should like AMD as a matter of course, but just a case of they are kind of small.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
Indeed. Right. Oh no. I'm reading bits in chat and I'm just like, no, I'm not going to say that out loud. But yes.
No, absolutely. Basically just a case of you can never read anything Chris writes out loud.
No, you cannot. Fine. NVIDIA's in the AI business, that's the problem. Yes, that is very true.
Yeah,
that's a very good comparison. NVIDIA are targeting a different audience to an extent.
But also the fact of the AI is the future.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Especially because because when you look at stuff like DLSS and stuff, that is obviously a product of AI research, and that is enabling a very big equivalent performance uplift. If you see what I mean.
I don't know what you're fingering.
Well, DLSS doesn't make your card go faster, but it gives you the equivalent of a faster card for less performance penalty, if you see what I mean. Like, DLSS doesn't mean your graphics card is faster, but if you can have a lower end card providing a picture that looks like what a higher end card would produce, it's equivalent increased performance.
I would contend that it shouldn't matter whether the card is low end or high end. The pixels it outputs should be the same. Otherwise, you're getting into a very different kind of benchmarking of, I have to buy the AMD cards because they have prettier pixels.
Well, that's just it. It's a case of, is it higher performance if it upscaled to that resolution? Is it really a 4K graphics card if it upscaled to 4K?
I mean, the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro are 4K consoles with checkerboard rendering.
Yeah. Now, I understand that that's an incredibly, this is an incredibly pedantic discussion to get into, but I think it's just worth mentioning that, because obviously we come to this perspective of, NVIDIA are working on AI and AMD are not interested in that. It's like, well,
not necessarily not interested.
Should they be interested?
Well, I mean, they have the Instinct cards, and stuff. It's more. I feel it's more of a case of AMD simply doesn't have the staff, because obviously, if NVIDIA is a company that is multiple sizes larger, they have more staff for more projects, so it can throw more projects out there and just kind of go, let's see which one works out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because if you've got 10 times the staff, you can work on 10 times the projects, and one of them needs to go somewhere.
Yeah, Google in a nutshell, except none of them go anywhere. Oh, sorry.
No, they do. They just get killed off after 18 months.
Yes.
Damn it, Google! Where's my reader?
Wave was a good idea.
Wave was a good idea.
Wave did nothing wrong.
Everyone just ripped off Wave.
I'm just marveling because we need to.
Why did Hangouts get killed?
Yeah. Like part of me wants to just dive into that discussion right now, and the other part of me is just like, it's over. Get over it. You know.
I'll never be over it.
I'm hungry. I'm going to eat this last Stroop waffle.
Hi, hungry.
So yes. Fine.
You're still clipping.
Sorry. Oh, there's 2 in here. Do you want the last one there?
Sure.
Fine. Right. We need new discussion. Let's see. Any interesting fixes? So to trade with kids going back to school? Not really. In terms of interesting fixes, I haven't had much in. It's been fairly routine stuff. I've got a couple of just computer rebuilds in the works, which are good fun. Just refurb, like cable tidy up, stuff like that, which have been enjoyable. One of them I did a one shot last night. I did it in one go, and that's probably going to be this week's video. And the other one is still pending because I rebuilt it, but that didn't solve all the problems. So, but it has an intermittent fault that takes up to 24 hours to reproduce. So that kind of sucks. So yeah, is that a silicon wafer you're eating? It's a Stroop. Hang on a sec. There were lots of comments on the pronunciation of Stroop waffles last week.
Good. And I get the feeling that no one realised we were intentionally being obtuse.
I wasn't. I just don't know how you pronounce it.
Oh no, in the sense of we were intentionally saying it wrong.
Okay, yeah. So
therefore, we could not be accused of being bad.
Yes.
Because it was intentionally wrong.
One chap who sounded like a jolly nice chap said we were correct in saying that it was Stroop like soup. So Stroop is correct, but I was getting the waffle wrong. It's not waffle like a waffle. It was more like waffle or something like that. So it should be Stroop waffle or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'd have expected the word to be a the.
Stroop waffle. I think that's it. Stroop waffle. So yeah, something along those lines. Shout out to that chap if he's watching this week. He knows who he is. I can't remember your name. Very sorry. However,
I still don't understand the comment of Stroop waffle was like soap.
Yeah, Stroop like soup.
No, soap, as in the thing you wash your hands with.
Oh, like why would you say strope?
Help! I'm having a stroke.
I think I am. I'm going to turn off the phone as well because I think someone keeps ringing it. I'm going to tell them to where to go. So yeah. Oh, my pronunciation of stroke is wrong as well. Okay, fine. I give up.
It's a stroke whiffle. Yes.
Die, potato.
No, Chris. No, we are not. We are not saying goodbye to benevolence. Damn it, Chris. Who let you in here? What YouTube channel updates? The Too Long Didn't Watch is the live streams are going on a second channel. The second channel will get existed at some point soon. Keep posted.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. The podcast buries the mainline videos because the YouTube algorithm keeps pushing the podcast, but not the main videos. So we're moving the podcast to another channel. That's basically it. So yes. Got any dodgy e-waste to punish? Oh boy, have we?
Yes, do you?
Well, we did unbox a whole load of stuff earlier on that had some more interesting stuff in.
Oh no, I didn't mean that. I meant the entirety of...
Oh, right. Caradog is very disappointed in me because I haven't thrown out the cardboard for approximately 10,000 days. and there's a lot of it.
All the e-waste and...
Yeah, I know. I've lost control of my life.
Yeah.
So...
See, you need a member of staff with a pokey thing.
Yeah, maybe. Right. Any thoughts on how Americans pronounce your name? Well, I'm generally known... I think it's known as Graham in the American language. And I don't approve. So,
Oh no. It's a graham cracker. It's a very light cracker.
I'm going to take the battery out of the phone. I turned the phone off and I put it on the charging dock and it just turned back on again. And I'm like, no, I want it to be on charge but switched off.
No, that's not a function you're allowed to have on those phones.
No.
Because otherwise people would end up with a telephone that was turned off and be too dense to realise they need to turn a phone on for it to work.
Oh, God.
But I ended up in a weird situation with our own house phones, where the house phone managed to drain itself sufficiently that the charging current supplied by the charging dock was too low for the effectively quiescent current.
Oh no!
So the phone could not charge.
Did it have removable batteries?
Yeah, so I just took the batteries out and charged them on their own.
Yeah,
but I was like,
yeah, that's a problem.
I was just like, really? How did no one consider the fact of, maybe we should have the phone charge the batteries? And we should make sure that the charger outputs more current than the phone needs to operate.
Yeah. Odd one. But landline phones are still astonishingly behind in technology, aren't they?
They don't need to do anything.
No, yeah, that's true. But then they also seem to be very susceptible to problems that mobile phones and other battery-operated devices solved a long time ago. But yeah, I don't know.
I'm just glad they still have removable batteries.
Yes, this is true, yeah.
Because it makes it a very easy problem to fix. I don't mind you having problems if they're very easy to fix by just charging the batteries.
Yeah. Yes, Weebu. The correct pronunciation would be Graham. So, yeah. But it's a very, very subtle H, because there's also, I think the Scottish spelling is G-R-E-M-E, no, G-R-A-E-M-E or something like that. Anyway.
E-M-E-M-E.
Right, where are we up to? We're coming up to the 2-hour marker, but we're not quite there. I think if we can get one more topic, I kind of vote that we do a 2-hour show today.
Sure.
And just carry on doing a talk show, because there's if we start getting out something to do now, we're going to be going for another hour, and yeah, I don't think it's worth a 3-hour show today, basically. So yes, we need what else has happened recently? I'm sure there was something else that came up that we were going to talk about. Can't remember. I'm going to check the Discord just in case there was something up there.
No idea.
Update on the fractal case. I did already mention that. The fractal case... group waffle. I don't know why that's funny.
It's a knockoff version of Groupon.
The fractal case... they have made an update that confirmed, the long and the short is they made an update, it confirmed what I suspected, in that the 12 plane along the top was the problem. I have a suggestion channel. That's where I'm going! That's what I said on opening Discord. Suggestions channel. The problem is most of the suggestions are bad. No offence, but yeah.
About getting drunk.
2 guys talk deck. So yes, most of the suggestions are bad. Oh god, that's gone terribly wrong. Yeah, no, whatever. I tell you what I'll show instead is I did show off something in the exclusive chat the other day. For people who are asking about the fractal case, I did share a photo of the work in progress just to give people an idea on what I was working on. So I'll share that with you guys instead. I've just got to scroll back for about 10,000 years to find it. Oh, come on. Because, yeah,
yes.
The fractal case, I've got mixed opinions about it. It's a good case, but it does require a lot of work to get to the same position that my H500 was in. And it's kind of an interesting topic. So if I switch to desktop, bam. So here is the work in progress for my torrent build, and I've got my 3070 in there at the moment, and I've started cable tidying. But the biggest issue I've got with it right now is that if I have this up on my desk, the LEDs on the big fans that I've put at the bottom there, they shine directly outward into your eyes. And so if you have it up on the table, you get dazzled by the LEDs from these fans, which is extremely annoying. So I need to figure out a way of putting some tiny diffusion tape around the hubs of those fans so the RGB doesn't dazzle me, which is an incredible issue to have. And I'm not really, and I'm just like, oh God, is that really where I'm up to now with this thing? So yeah, the other problem as well is that it comes with 6 RGB devices. You've got 5 RGB fans and an LED strip, and I want to have in an actual, and the LED strip is an accent strip, so it doesn't actually provide illumination. I also want to have a proper LED strip in there to illuminate the interior of the case, which means I've got 7 ARGB devices that I want in there, and it doesn't come with an ARGB hub. So I've also had to supply my own ARGB hub, and that actually, here's somewhere where you might be able to help me. This might be something that you guys might be able to help me out with as well. Is I want a standalone RGB controller with ARGB headers on it. Now, at the moment, I've pulled a cheap one out of one of my cheap Chinese cases that I've got lying around. I actually pulled one out of, I took the one out of my Aerocool Airhawk, and that has allowed me to hook everything up, but it doesn't have USB control. So I want a standalone ARGB hub that has a USB interface on it. So I can control it with software.
You don't want it controlled through the ARGB port?
Nope. Because by and large, your motherboard's ARGB headers are really terrible. But then also, what doesn't help there is that I've got an ASRock board. If I had an Asus board and I could use Asus AuraSync, yeah, then that would be passable. But motherboard RGB control is largely crap.
I see.
So I want an actual USB controller, because that's what I had before in my H500. I had CAM and the NZXT RGB controller, which you can knock CAM all you want, but it was pretty good and it worked, and it was USB control.
Can you not just get another one of those controllers?
No, because it doesn't support the ARGB standard. It's proprietary for NZXT.
Oh, I see.
And it will be the same problem with a Corsair controller. So if I want to actually use the ARGB fans that came with the case, I need an actual ARGB controller, and I don't know of any third-party ones. So yeah, I'm like, there's got to be a third-party one out there that can do this. So I'm looking to find one. So yeah, Cooler Master ARGB small with open RGB, lots of cables but cheap. Okay, well that sounds good. Cooler Master ARGB small. Let me just Google search that. Cooler Master ARGB small. Let's have a look at this.
Take a load of this.
Take this. Small controller, big control. Show me a picture of it. Okay. Oh, I've seen one of these before. Alright, so it's got 2 outputs. It's got buttons on it, but also a USB interface. LED speed adjustment. Thermal detection. Cool. So yeah, so it's got two outputs on it, which is good enough. I'd hope that it has SATA power going into it somewhere.
Yeah, if you scroll down, keep going.
Oh yeah, power connector SATA. Yep, that looks good. Well. There's more pictures as well. Oh, but it doesn't show the power connector.
Here is the same picture twice.
The most useless gallery ever. Fine. Yeah, that looks like a good start. The fact that this is called a ARGB LED small controller, that kind of infers the existence of a bigger one. Is there a bigger one? Is there a big controller? What does that look like?
Peripherals.
Peripherals, accessories. Yeah, this is under coolers.
Ah.
Can I have our face to be visible here as well? I wonder. Cam link. We're on desktop. Oh, that's the wrong one. Fine, whatever. You guys just can't see it at the moment. That's just how it is for now. Addressable RGB strip. Oh, I'm kind of interested in that as well because I want a diffused RGB strip. Let me look at that. That's probably the kind of thing I'm looking for. Again, the pictures are all completely useless. There's no nice close-ups of it that show me what design it is. Yeah, it's side firing. That's probably good enough though. I'm considering that. I'm considering either that or the Lian Li one.
That fan looked very RGB.
Oh, which one?
Hold on, keep going up.
That one. Yeah, that's yeah. The Cooler Master RGB stuff is actually not bad. I don't like their liquid coolers are debatable, but yeah. Mini addressable LED controller. Okay, so there's a cool. Small and there's a mini. That one's very cute, just a single port output.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Ooh. Addressable RGB controller. Here we go. Here's a big one. The smallest uwu. All right, that's got a SATA connector on the back. There we go. Now we're cruising. And how many ports? Yeah, also look, this has got actual ARGB ports on it, so I don't need adapters. I like that. 4 channels.
It did say somewhere, though.
And it's got something else on the back.
That it connected to the motherboard.
Ah, yeah. Has it got no... It's got a USB port on it. Yep.
And to connect USB of motherboard to update firmware of your controller.
Wow, that tells me nothing. What the hell does that mean? To connect
motherboard 4-pin RGB header lighting can be controlled by motherboard.
Ah, yeah. So this isn't a controller; it's a hub.
Possibly.
Yeah. I mean, that still helps because my current issue is that I'm trying to connect 7 devices to a single header on my motherboard, and a single header cannot power 7 devices.
Especially as 2 of those devices require more power for the LEDs than they do to operate as the device.
Yeah, going back to this thing, these fans, these 180mm ARGB fans, they are 600 milliamps for the LEDs.
And 300 milliamps for the fan part.
350 for the fan part. 350 for the fan rotor. But 600 milliamps for the LEDs.
Woo! Are the LEDs approximately enough to blot out the sun?
Yes. However, they're also not diffused. They also blot out my retinas, which is a kind of a problem. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, it looks like Cooler Master probably have what I'm looking for.
RGB 4-pin.
Oh. Yeah.
When USB header connector, USB addressable 3-pin.
I'll have to look up some reviews of this to find out exactly what it does and does not do. But yeah, it's actually got some good pictures of it. I like the fact they show the inside. That's cool.
That looks way more than just a hub.
Yeah.
From that.
Well, the thing is, you've got to take the signal and then repeat it and regenerate it and stuff. And well, this has got built-in effects, but the built-in effects might be. I would probably be happy with the built-in effects
as long as it was a decent white.
Yeah. The issue is I don't even have good built-in effects at the moment. So yeah, this is probably fit for purpose. So thanks to
thanks to that one guy.
Yep, I've probably lost you in the chat now because I went off of the chat for ages. Oh, that was El Snarko. Nice name. El Snarko, thanks for the recommendation. I think that's where we want to go. The CM small controller has SATA power, 3 ARGB, outputs on cables. Yep. Alas, their pictures don't show anything. Yeah. I'll have to look up some reviews of those. But that looks like what the kind of thing I'm looking for.
What about the EK controller?
Yeah, but I don't want to take the EK out of there.
No, but just that controller. Because EK are EK, they probably sell every single part of that AIO as an individual SKU.
Yeah, that would be just as good. Bonus points as well because it's a fan controller. I don't need a fan controller, but I like fan controllers because they give you more control of your fans. So yeah, that's not a terrible idea.
And they weren't proprietary.
Yeah, and it does. No, they were not. They're standard ARGB, and it does have built-in effects that aren't awful as well. So that's another good shout. I'd have to check into that and see if I can get hold of the EK one and see how much it costs.
Or at the very least, also just contact EK Press and go, I have a YouTube channel and an audience.
Yeah. Do you want to send me some stuff? I specifically want one of these. But if you want to send me other stuff, Can
you also send me a pump?
Yeah.
Because I have a 1070 I want to make into a water cooling loop.
Sure.
I would love to use your reservoir D5 pump combos.
Sure. Yeah, I got to do that. Yeah. You've been happy, surprisingly, with the Aerocool controllers. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm using an Aerocool one, which it's not made by Aerocool. It's just the standard Chinese case ones. But they're not terrible.
Does it come with the little remote?
No. I think some of them do, but yeah, most of them don't. However, they're not terrible. And as I say, that's the one that I've put in the torrent as a stopgap measure, just so I could switch on all the... Because I was at the point where I literally could not have the RGB turned on because the single header I had didn't have enough grunt after I daisy-chained everything up. And I literally I robbed the controller out of my Aerocool Airhawk and stuck that in there, and that's doing the job. But I have very little control. And also, I have a very, very bizarre issue where there's some kind of comms issue on my thing. Because if I set... So I've got an ASRock X470 Tai Chi. And if I set the color of the ARGB header to be green, then the fans come on blue. And the red is correct, but like two of the color channels are flipped over. So, and here's the thing.
So if you set it to blue, does it come out green?
I can't remember which colors, but two of the colors are swapped around. I can't remember which two,
but they are actually swapped.
Yeah, but the problem is they're not swapped on the motherboard. So the motherboard will light up green, but the fans will come up blue. So the header is outputting a different color to what the motherboard RGB is doing.
Huh.
Now, at the moment, I've dodged this because I'm actually doing a kind of blue, green, and purple setup. So I've actually managed to find a color where by pure coincidence, I can do two different colors, despite the fact that the same signal is being sent to the same things.
Not bad.
However, it's another reason why I'm trying not to use my motherboard header, because it seems to be very confused, and I don't know how.
Bless him. So, yeah. He's just a little confused.
Yes.
Can you turn off the LEDs on the motherboard but still have the header work?
I would be able to do this if I was using. I'd be able to do this if I were using the ASRock
Mystic
software. Light. Yeah, not Mystic Light. It's Aurora. I think it is.
Aurora.
Not to be confused with Aura.
What's Aura?
Aura Sync is Asus. Aurora is ASRock.
Oh, I see your point.
Yes.
Yes.
So yes, if I'm using the software, I have got individual control. However, also the software clashes with CAM, and I'm still using NZXT CAM for my Kraken water cooler. And I want to keep that running because that's managing the water cooler fans, and it's also handling because I've got the Kraken Z63, which has got the natty little screen on the front and stuff like that, which I really like.
I think that's really cool. Is that actually a screen?
Yes, it's an OLED screen.
So it can display anything anywhere, effectively.
Yes and no.
The display is capable of doing so.
The hardware is capable of doing so, yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And you can.
I didn't know if it was just two coloured bars.
No, it is not. It is a proper full-fat OLED screen.
Huh, that's cool.
It's a graphical, and you can have it displaying. You can have it showing a meme GIF, and it will be animated and everything. Nice. But the frustrating thing is that you can't construct custom layouts for the actual cooling image. There are just some presets that you can use, and the presets are fit for purpose. But I'm just like, oh man, if you guys are putting a bit more effort, it would be like, for example, what would be rad is if I could have it display CPU temp and coolant temp, but I can't. On the dual display where you have two temperature bars, you can't select which temperature bars are there. It just has to be CPU and GPU, which is fine. CPU and GPU are two temperatures that are useful to know.
Yeah.
However, I would love to have CPU and coolant temp. Because the GPU temp, I don't really care what that is, because it's always going to be aiming for that specific temperature.
It's always going to be
whereas
the temperature target.
The coolant temp is actually a very relevant temperature when you're water cooling. When you're trying to tweak your fan curves, coolant temp is really critical to know when you're adjusting fan curves, because it tells you what your idle fans need to be. And also, Jason said try OpenRGB to get rid of it all. I need to have a look into that. I entirely agree. So yeah. Yes. Marathon stream engaged. No.
We're probably wrapping up.
I think we're going to wrap up. Yeah, because as I say, keep it. The talky ones I think will keep short and sweet. Whereas if we're actually doing stuff, then we'll roll on long because we're doing stuff.
Yeah. So if we're continuing to doing stuff, but
yeah, I'm kind of in the frame set of just. This isn't a strict rule, but kind of alternating it at the moment, just because coming up with practical stuff every week is hard work. We can do it, but I don't always want to because I'm fickle. I'm fickle, and sometimes I can't be bothered. So yeah, I'm justifying myself to you because I know you're judging. So yeah.
Good. Anyway,
if only you did the things that you know will improve your channel, but you don't do. So yeah.
No further comment.
Fair enough. So yes, very well. Does Caradog drive back to Chateau Caradog after stream? No, we go our separate ways actually. We both go home, mainly just because as soon as we finish doing this stream, I tend to be like, I'm tired, go away. And I go home, and so does Caradog. So yeah, but yes. Anyway, right, Mike White, thank you for the £5.
Random waffle.
Hey, is that an empty packet?
Yes.
Yes, good. I was going to say you didn't eat yours, but yeah, that's fine. Anyway, thank you for the £5, Mike White. Can't speak for everyone, but you like the random waffle. Yeah, I think there's an audience for both. So yeah, I think doing a bit of both is good. And yeah, for the various people who like my shirt, cool. Thank you. I like my shirt as well.
And just to repeat the point that is the title of this episode, this will be on a different channel next week.
Let's just go over that one more time for the end of the video. So for those of you who weren't in at the start of the video, the podcast will be on a second channel from next week onwards. There will be announcements everywhere for the name and link to that channel. However, we're moving the podcast to another channel so it stops burying the mainline videos.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
And this is the point where I do the thing that Graham doesn't do and tells all of you to go like the mainstream videos.
Like, comment, subscribe.
You can't subscribe to a video, but yes, like and comment the mainstream videos. Don't comment on these videos. Comment on the repair ones.
Yep, absolutely. Cool.
Until next time.
I have enjoyed this conversation in English.
Good.
That's it. Right. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for the conversation and all the other good things. I'll catch you guys next week. Yada, yada, yada.
Not in the same place.
Yes. Next week. Same time, not the same place. There'll be announcements.
Announcements, etc. Yada, yada. Goodbye.
Yeah. Twitter, Discord, any of the places, you'll see it all. Right.
Farewell. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
So long. Farewell.